Hello students, welcome on this video lecture. In this video lecture we will be talking about related to the stuff that is force acting between plates of a parallel plate capacitor. Later on we also will talk about the force acting on dielectric slab when it is inserted in a parallel plate capacitor. So let's begin with this first point, which is saying force between plates of a parallel plate capacitor. So here the picture has been shown. Let's say this is representing a parallel plate capacitor, and this is positively charged plate, this is a negatively charged plate, and between these two plates there's going to be interactional force, because this is a one charge, this is another charge. When there are two charges, they interact each other. Now if we try to find out the field at this junction or outside this negative plate, so you'll find the field at this point came out to be 0. Most of the part we have talked about earlier as well. The field in this zone is also going to be 0. You can watch the previous videos to ensure that this we have talked about. What is the field in between? So in between, because of the positive charge or positive plate, it's going to be in this direction. So we can say this is the field because of the positively charged plate. Because of the negatively charged plate, it is towards the negative charge, so another field is also in the same direction, that is E, because of negative charge. Hence the total field in between, if we talked about, so the total field in between is the sum of this value and this value. Field because of one plate, let's say E plus, this will have the same magnitude as field because of the negative plate, because they have the same charge, and we know the field because of the plane sheet depends only on the charge or charge density, that means sigma, that means charge and area. We are considering them to be large plate and they are uniform. Now because of one plate, it comes out to be sigma upon 2 epsilon naught, and when we add them to find the total value, net field, so net field in between the plate comes out to be 2 times this, that means E plus E minus. So if we add these two together, then it will come out to be sigma upon epsilon naught. So point is, the sigma upon epsilon naught field is because of the two contribution, and both the plate contribute equally. Now our purpose is to find out the force. So what we can say, this plus Q charge is placed over here, and this, because of this plus Q charge, there is going to be field on which this minus Q charge has been placed. Or we can say plus Q charge has been placed in the field of minus Q charge. Hence writing the force will be equal to, so force, let me write in this way, force on each plate, force on each plate is going to be equal to, if we call it as F, so F is going to be equal to, we are just writing the magnitude, right? So we are writing it like let's say charge, one charge, and the field of another. So let's say we are writing the field of minus and we are putting the charge of positive. So this is the magnitude. Now that means we are saying this plus Q charge is present in the field of minus Q, so that is E minus. Now if we place it, so this is going to be Q, the charge, into the field because of one, that's E minus, so that's going to be sigma upon 2 epsilon naught. Now we can rewrite the sigma as well. So sigma is written as Q upon area, so it's going to be twice A epsilon naught. Hence the formula for force comes out to be F is equal to Q square divided by 2A epsilon naught. So if the charge on the capacitor is known to us and plate area is known to us, then we can find out what is the force on each plate because of another. So this is the force on one plate because of the another. Since we know there's going to be equivalent opposite reaction, so on the another plate there will be same amount of force acting. That's the magnitude. Once we know the magnitude of force, we can also find the direction. So this is indicating magnitude. Direction we can see in the picture. Now this minus E field is in the direction towards right, and we know this charge is plus, so the force on the positive plate is going to be in the direction of field. That means this will be acting in this direction. Similarly, if we talk about this minus Q, so this minus Q is placed in this plus E field. Since this charge is negative, hence the force will be opposite to the direction of field. That means this minus Q plate will experience a force in this direction. But by looking these figures or directions, we can say both the plates attract each other. That means if we release the two parallel plates, having some gap between them, over the time you will find that they will try to come closer to each other because the force is attractive in nature. So the final result is that the magnitude of force is given by this expression, and direction you can say this is attractive in nature. That means both the plate attract each other. Attractive in nature. Now, what the mistake that you can commit is not writing this 2. So, minded this 2 becomes important, the factor of 2. This 2 is coming because we are not writing the net field in order to find the force. Why we are not writing the net field? Reason is very obvious, because this plus Q charge will never experience a force because of its own field. This plus Q charge will experience force only because of other charge, and other charge is minus Q. So we need to use the field because of minus Q, not because of its own. Similarly, minus Q charge can never experience a force because of its own field. Hence, for minus Q, this plus field going to decide where the force is, how much the force is. So using that point, we are getting this as a magnitude, this as a direction. So you can remember this. This is a small point that I was supposed to discuss. So we have discussed over here. Now we can move ahead and we will talk about the force on a dielectric slab in parallel plate capacitor. So let's go ahead. So let's talk about force on a dielectric slab. So let's say this is a parallel plate capacitor. This is a positive charge having a charge Q, let's say. This is a negative charge, so having a charge minus Q. And the dielectric slab is filled inside. So dielectric slab, let's say dielectric constant is K, it is completely filled inside. So whenever this is completely filled, we can draw the free body diagram, we can find out what the forces are going to be. We know when this is placed inside, so there is a field from positive to negative direction. Net field lies in this direction. Now this net field is going to apply force on the dielectrics. We know close to the positively charged plate, there is a negative charge plate that gets induced or polarized, and similarly close to the negative plate charge plate, there is a positive charge that gets accumulated. So we will find that the forces are going to act because of this field. This negative charge will experience a force as shown by these arrows. So this will be the direction of force acting on the dielectric slab. And that will be acting on the dielectric slab on the face close to the positively charged plate. Similarly, this positive charge will experience a force in the direction of field. So there is going to be another force acting in this direction on the dielectric slab. Now I am writing both the forces as F because they are going to be equal, and this force F is going to be equal to the charge that induced or polarized and into the field that is existing between the plates. So the net field and the polarized charge, they will be multiplying together to form the force on the dielectric slab. But this force is going to act on both the faces and in the opposite direction. So what the net force will become on the dielectric slab? We will say net force on the dielectric slab will become 0 because it is acting in opposite direction and it is equal. But yes, what this force can have effects on the dielectric slab. Can you find out the effects? Yes, this force will try to stretch the dielectric slab. So if it is asked what happens to the dielectric slab, does it move? You say no. What is the net force acting? You say 0. So is there going to be any deformation in the dielectric slab? We can say yes, there is going to be deformation because these are the deforming forces, and they are trying to deform the dielectric slab, but they cannot move the dielectric slab because the net force is going to be 0. So that means net force will be 0 when the slab, a dielectric slab, is completely inside. So this is the case when the slab is completely inside. Okay. So let me write this point over here. This information is when, let me write from here, when slab is completely inside. Inside the capacitor. So in that case, you will find this is going to be the final conclusion. However, our response will be different in case this is partially inside. So another picture is trying to depict the case in which the dielectric slab has been placed partially inside, and you will find that the force is going to be acting in this direction. That means the final conclusion will be when the dielectric slab is partially filled in a capacitor, then the capacitor tries to pull the dielectric slab to fill it completely, and once it fills completely, then the net force that was acting becomes 0. So net force acts only if the slab is partially inserted and the force tries to pull the slab inside the capacitor. This is going to be our conclusion. And now we are going to learn how this force is going to act in such a way so that it pulls the dielectric slab inside. First part we have talked about, when it is completely inside, the force is 0. Making sense? Now, in this particular case, if we try to draw the direction of field, so direction of field between the plates are going to be in this way. They are going to be from this positive plate towards negative plate. And here we will also find the field will be from positive plate towards negative plate. However, the two fields are going to be different because this is going to be including this polarized field as well, whereas this is going to be simply because of the plates or charge on the plates. Now, whenever we solve these kind of questions, we always assume these plates to be large enough. These plates are very large. That means we are trying to ignore the effects that occurs on the ends or edges. However, in this particular case, edges are going to play their role, because when it is partially inserted, that means on this edge we need to watch how the field is behaving. Now if we draw the field lines, you will find the field lines are going to be uniform. That means they will be equally spaced and running from positive to negative. And this direction of field will be only as long as these plates are considered very large in dimensions. When we are going to reach to the corner or the edge of the plates, you will find the field direction will not remain as they were. Rather, they will start bending. So this bending starts like this. So field lines at the edges are not perpendicularly going from positive plate to negative plate all the way. Rather, they bend. Similarly, in this corner or edge, you will find the field lines or field will not be again uniform, and it will start bending. So whenever we need to draw the field lines because of parallel plates, we will say they are uniform and perpendicular to both the plates only in mid portion, where we can consider the plates to be large enough. But when we come to the closer to the ends or edges, the fields are bending in this manner. Now this is known as edge effect. Edge effect. So edge effect is basically the effect of edge due to which the field lines they get bends. Now we will be able to find the force acting on the slab because of this existing field. Now this charge is minus QP, polarized charge. This charge is plus QP. So force is going to act on these polarized charges, and this is the field which is going to apply the force. These uniform perpendicular fields will be applying the force, as we have already talked about, in this direction as well as in this direction. But we will find that these forces are not going to contribute in finding the net force. That means the net force because of this is going to be 0. However, when we are coming to this edge, then we'll find these field lines are going to be bended. That means in this particular field line, let me draw a force on a particular field line. Let's say at this point, the force will be opposite to the direction of field. We know the direction of field is going to be tangentially. Since this is a negative charge, so force has to be opposite to this, but it's going to be tangential to the field line. So if we draw it properly, it's going to be like this. So the direction of force will not be now vertical, rather it will bend by certain angle. And similarly on this positive end, the field will be along the field, the force will be along the field line. Now if we watch these two forces, these forces are not vertically up and vertically down, unlike the case that was earlier. So these forces will have their components. Now definitely the vertical components are going to cancel out each other. So this component of this force will be cancelling out this component of this force, as they did over here at the midsection. However, they will also have a horizontal component of this force, and the horizontal component of this force is going to be in this direction. Now if you look at the picture carefully, then you'll find the horizontal component of forces, they are not opposite, rather they are in the same direction, and the direction is towards the plates. That means we can conclude that it is experiencing a net force in this direction. Hence there is going to be a net force acting on the dielectric slab in the direction which is behaving like capacitor is pulling the dielectric slab to fill it completely. I hope you have understood that there is going to be a force acting horizontally, and the perpendicular forces, they are cancelling out each other and they are not going to move this slab, but this force is going to move the slab. So our purpose is to find out how much this force is going to act when the dielectric slab is partially filled, and we will claim that this force is coming because of edge effect. That means an effect that occurs at the edges of the parallel plate capacitor. Now the same picture, the third picture is trying to illustrate or demonstrate the same thing but in 3 dimensions. So this is the slab which have the same thickness D, and this is a parallel plate capacitor. The width of this has been given as a B, and D is the gap between the plates, and let's say this dimension, the entire dimension of this plate that we are also going to use is L. So L is the length of the plates, we can say. B is the width, and D is the gap between the plates. There are 2 plates, one plate is upside, another plate is downside, and this cuboidal shape dielectric material is being inserted. It is inserted by X amount now, and in the long run you will find it will get completely inserted outside. Length of this slab is also L, so that it can fit it completely, and this is the situation when it is partially filled. That means this is basically 3-dimensional view of the same picture that we have talked about. Okay, now let's try to find out the force acting on this dielectric slab that is going to pull the slab towards the capacitor. In order to find it out, let's say this is X amount of the slab which has gone inside. So this picture we can draw in the form of capacitor. We can write the capacitance of this particular instance, because we know the capacitance depends on the amount of dielectric material filled inside. So can we write this picture when X amount has gone inside as I'm writing over here. So let me write it this. Let x length of slab means dielectric slab, has gone inside the capacitor, has gone inside. Then what will be the capacitance? So we will say this will be behaving like partially filled capacitor. Whenever there is a partially filled capacitor, we break it into two capacitors. So we will say one will be without dielectric, another capacitor will be with dielectric. So dielectric slab has come inside, and this plate and this plate, they will be having the same potential, so we can connect like this, and we can think of these two capacitors are connected like this, and we are interested to find out the capacitance between these two terminals. If we call it as C1, we call it as C2, so what the equivalent C is going to be? Can we say they are connected in parallel? In case of parallel, our answer becomes C1 plus C2. Now we can easily write what the C1 is, what the C2 is. So let's talk about the C1. C1 is going to be capacitance without dielectrics. So it's going to be area epsilon naught by D. Now area of the plate, if we want to write, so that portion of the plate, that means this portion, which is this area we are interested in, which is without the dielectrics. So I'm erasing that part. You have got it. Now this area is going to be B is 1 width, and this is length is going to be L minus X. So we can say B into L minus X. This is the area of the plate. Epsilon naught divided by D, which is the gap. Gap between these two plates is going to remain the same, which is D. Once we are able to write the C1, we can also write the value of C2. C2 is going to be equal to, this will having a dielectric constant K. Let's say this is K dielectric constant. So we will be writing again area. This plate area this time will be this much. So this plate area is going to be X into B. So I'm erasing this portion and writing over here. So that means this is B into X. So that's area into K, which is a dielectric constant, epsilon naught, which is permittivity, divided by D. Now this is how we can write C1 and C2. Once we are able to write C1 and C2, we can find the capacitance. Hence we can say the capacitance is going to be C1 plus C2. So we are going to add these numbers. Something is constant, that those number we can take as common. So B epsilon naught divided by D. These are constant as well as common. So we are taking them out. Now here we are going to find it as L minus X plus, in this we are going to find as a Kx. So this is one important formula that will tell us what the capacitance of this partially filled capacitor is going to be in terms of X. And by putting the various values of X, we can find out various capacitances, that means capacitances of various cases. It's going to be B epsilon naught divided by D. Within a bracket, we can put the X together, so it's going to be L plus K minus 1 into X. So this you can remember as a result which will be useful in future. So that will be behaving like a result for us. Now still we are not able to find what the force is. We will find it shortly, but we are in the process. And in the process we have covered one important point, that if it is partially filled, what the capacitance is going to be, how we are going to write that capacitance. That means we have got this capacitance as a function of X. Now here if we place the value of X to be 0, we will find original capacitance. That means capacitance without dielectrics. If we place X is equal to L, then we'll find the capacitance when it gets completely filled. So for different values of X, we can find out what the capacitance is going to be. Now we have capacitance as a function of X, that is length up to which the dielectric has gone in. Okay, now we will be using this C to find out how much the force is going to be. We will be dealing this force in two different cases. So let's see that in the next slide. So let's talk about in two cases. Case number one, we are trying to find the force on this dielectric material. In case one, this case one says this capacitor is not connected with the battery. So capacitor has a charge, but it is not connected with the battery. So charged capacitor without battery. So there is no battery connected, but the capacitor is charged. Let's say charge on the capacitor is Q, and K is the dielectric constant of the material, and rest of the parameters are same as we have talked about. So we can find out this force, how much this force is going to be. We can write what the energy at that particular instance is going to be, energy stored in the capacitor, and that's energy because of conservative field, that is electric field. And this energy, that is stored energy in a capacitor, is written as a Q square upon 2C. We can write so? Yes, we can easily write this. Now Q, since there is no battery connected, then we can say Q remains constant. Here you will find Q is a constant. So Q is not going to change. However, C changes, and we have just found out what the C expression is going to be. Is going to be B epsilon naught divided by D. Within the bracket, you will write it as L plus K minus 1 into X. That means this C depends on X, whereas the charge is a constant. If this is the case, then we can find the force, because we know there's a formula. The force, that's conservative force, is equal to minus du upon dx. So if we differentiate this energy, and then we can find the value of force. Now when we are going to differentiate this, we need to use the chain rule. As per the chain rule, we need to go like this: du upon dc into dc upon dx. What is the dc upon dx is going to be? That can be calculated using this. So let's talk about what is the du upon dc is going dc upon dx is going to be. So from here we can find dc upon dx. That means we are differentiating it with respect to x. That means the rate of change of capacitance with respect to the distance it has gone inside, the dielectric slab has gone inside. So B epsilon naught by D, that's a constant, we can take it outside. Then we need to take the integration inside, this differentiation inside, and the differentiation of this L is going to be 0, and the differentiation of this number is going to be plus K minus 1, because X differentiation becomes 1. Hence this number comes out to be B epsilon naught divided by D within the bracket K minus 1. That means dc upon dx is constant. Now that's important information which can be used in theoretical questions, that when the dielectric slab is being inserted, then the rate of change of capacitance with respect to the distance the slab has gone inside remains constant, and this is the value. Anyway, now let's talk about the force and complete the value of this force. So this further will be equal to F is equal to minus du upon dc. Let's put the value of u. When we put the value of u, is going to be equal to Q square by 2 is going to be outside. You can take as a constant outside, and then d upon dc we need to apply over 1 upon c into dc by dx, which we have calculated is b epsilon naught divided by d inside the bracket k minus 1. Now this 1 upon c, when we are going to for differentiation, it will become minus 1 upon c square, and that minus this minus will become plus. So I'm writing directly the force on this dielectric slab is going to be F is equal to Q square divided by 2C square into this number. This number can also be written as a dc by dx. We can remember dc by dx separately, and this will become our formula. If we place the value of dc by dx, then we'll be writing it as q square b epsilon naught k minus 1 divided by 2c square. So this is going to be the formula of force acting on the dielectric slab when it is partially inserted. When it is partially inserted, I'm putting it in the bracket or this box, so you can remember it, and remembering in this manner is going to be easy. And that simply says the force is going to be equal to q square by 2c into dc by dx. We can find dc by dx separately and put to get this answer. Okay, so this is how we can find out what the force is going to be. That's the magnitude I'm talking about. The direction of force we have already talked about. So this will be the complete information about the force in the case when the charged capacitor does not connect it or does not have battery with this connected. Okay, now we will talk about the case in which the capacitor will be connected with the battery, and let's see what happens then. So here is the case 2. So let me write case number 2. In this case, let's battery is connected. So we are saying this battery is connected. Now when battery remains connected, then you'll find, let's say this battery got potential difference V. So we will say in this case the charge will not be constant, rather voltage is going to be constant. So this is going to indicate that V remains constant. Now this V remains constant, then we can solve for the force again by using the similar method. U, the stored energy, potential energy, is going to be equal to half CV square. We can use this formula. We are using V because V is a constant. If this is U, then we can find what the force is going to be. Force is going to be minus du upon dx. Now this is a conservative force, hence conservative force is rate of change of stored energy with respect to position with a minus. Now again we can put the value of U and go for the chain rule. So if we use the chain rule, it's going to be du upon dc into dc upon dx. What is dc upon dx? We have talked about earlier. So calculating force will become easier. So force is going to be equal to, now you see this U is half CV square. So half V square will be taken outside, which is a constant. D upon dc will be there, and differentiation of C into dc by dx. We know this dc by dc will become 1. So the force will turn up as, force is going to be equal to as minus half CV square minus half V square. C has got cancelled out. And if we talk about the magnitude, because we have talked about the direction earlier, so it's going to be half V square dc upon dx. Now here V is the constant term, and dc by dx we have already talked about, where dc upon dx is going to be equal to this value, which was b epsilon naught divided by d in the bracket k minus 1. So we can write finally this is going to be equal to F, which is going to be equal to half V square dc by dx. But if we want, we can write V is going to be equal to Q by C. So this is going to be look like similar, Q square upon 2C square q square upon 2c square into dc by dx. So point is, this force is appearing very similar or exactly similar to the force that we calculated in case of battery was not connected. However, there is a difference. So let's read what the difference is. Here this q is a variable, c is a variable, and if we talk about q by c, which is a v, which is a constant, that means this term is a constant, and we have already talked about this dc by dx is a constant. That means the force is going to be constant in the case of when the battery remains connected. So that means when the battery remains connected, the force on the dielectric slab is constant, and this is of this value. However, in the previous case, or case number 1, we got the same expression, F is equal to q square upon 2c square dc by dx. And in that case, you'll find that force was not constant, that was a variable that was dependent on x. How that was dependent on x? We can see that slide and then talk about its constant and variable nature. So here is this force. Now here this dc by dx is a constant, and this q is a constant because this is not connected with the battery. So q constant, this constant, 2 constant, but c is a function of x. You can say, or you can see from here, c is a function of x. Since c is a function of x, hence f is a variable. So this force is not constant, or this is dependent. We can say this is dependent on x. We can also find out how this varies with respect to x, because c square is downside, and we can see from here, as x increases, c increases. So these types of questions we can handle. As x increases, we can comment c increases, and if c increases, then you'll find force decreases. That means as the dielectric goes inside, force decreases in case of when the capacitor is not connected with the battery. However, in case when the capacitor is connected with the battery, force does not depend on x, force remains constant. So that's an important point. Fine, so with this we are able to find out what the force is acting on the dielectric slab in the two different cases, when this is connected with the battery, when this is connected when this is not connected with the battery. So in the first case, we consider the case in which it is not connected with the battery. In the second case, we consider when it was connected with the battery. And finally, we got our expression very similar, q square by 2c square dc by dx. So you can remember this. This is the formula that is valid for both the cases. So formula of force is this. However, its interpretations are different. When the battery is connected, then the force remains constant. When the battery is not connected, then force decreases as slab goes inside. And when the complete slab goes inside, then you'll find the force will become 0. So this was about force acting on a dielectric slab when it goes inside. Well, so with this we have covered this conductors and capacitors chapter in great detail, and next chapter is going to be current and electricity. So make your proper notes, revise. If there's a doubt, you can always ask. Thank you for watching. Have a great time.